Good evening, everyone. I'm Shanisty Myers. Thank you so much for tuning in on this soggy Sunday. Now, if you've stepped outside at any point today, you've probably noticed three things: clouds, rain, lots of humidity. The question now is, how long will this dreary weather last? For that answer, we turn to Chief Meteorologist Gene Norman. And Gene, can we expect a repeat performance tomorrow?
Well, Shanisty, I think we'll see the rain come to an end by sometime.
Gene, thank you. Well, how far did the rain push the delay at the region's tradition? Lauren Sisler will let us know coming up a little bit later in sports. Today's scattered showers didn't dampen a Flag Day celebration in Pelham. The city of Pelham and the Cahaba Valley Elks Lodge held the city's 5th annual Flag Day celebration at the Pelham CIVIC complex. Now, it was a free patriotic program to celebrate our nation's flag and all that it stands for, to honor all branches of the U.S. military. Meanwhile, in Verbena, a family is saying their final goodbyes to Army Master Sergeant Olin Williams. Williams was declared MIA in 1950. 6 decades later, Williams's remains were identified through DNA provided by his family. His body was returned to Alabama Thursday for burial. We'll have the emotional event coming up tonight after the Tonys. The government has been keeping close tabs on the American people, from the cell phones to the internet. As CBS 42's Mike McClanahan tells us in a two-part report, the surveillance is only the beginning.
In a digital world,
a Moundville man is behind bars tonight after a scuffle with a female turns into a call to the local tactical unit. Now, it happened overnight in the 12,000 block of County Line Road. Witnesses told police the suspect was pushing a female into his home. When the tactical unit arrived, he refused to come out, so officers pulled out the big guns and went in forcefully. He eventually came out without protest. Tonight, he is behind bars facing third-degree domestic violence charges. We now know the identity of the gunman who killed 4 in Santa Monica on Friday. Police say John Zawari had quite the arsenal: the upper receiver to a semi-automatic rifle, a .44 caliber handgun, hundreds of rounds, and 24 magazine clips fully loaded. He had an additional 1,300 rounds prepared to fire. Police say he was ready for battle.
Anytime someone puts on a vest, that's premeditated.
Police are still working to determine what prompted the gunman to open fire. Although many companies added jobs last month, economists say the May jobs report remains lackluster. The unemployment rate increased to 7.6% despite adding more than 400 workers. The addition proves positive for people who are still searching. Industries that saw the largest growth include architecture and engineering. The long, slow economic recovery continues, but some workers are finding their own way to cope with the lack of reliable company jobs.
conceptually,
Former statesman Nelson Mandela said to be in serious but stable condition, this after being hospitalized for a lung infection on Saturday. Family members came to visit the former South African leader earlier today. Mandela, who's 94, was taken to the hospital after the illness took a turn for the worst. Today, many took time to pray for him and wish him well. Hundreds also gathered at a Sunday Mass to pray for a speedy recovery. Thousands of illnesses, including high blood pressure, breast cancer, even heart attacks, are now being attributed to low breastfeeding rates. The results were outlined in a new Harvard research study. Researchers found women who chose not to nurse had an increased risk of all of these diseases, leaving behind a lifetime of treatment that cost more than $17 billion. Using a blood test, one group of British researchers say they have